Today I want to talk to you about how to locate old home sites using plants. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you about how to locate old home sites using plants. And I don't know about you guys, but whenever I go to an old home site, I always seem to find the same plants. So I'm going to show you about 5 or 6 common plants that are typically found around old home sites. Also, I want to do a shout out. His channel is called Coyote Works. His name is Casey. If you guys don't know who he is, he primarily does Jeep overlanding, but what's interesting about that is he actually goes and finds old homesteads out in Central Oregon. So if you guys are really into old homesteads and adventuring and that kind of stuff, go check him out.
Alright guys, we are rolling out of camp. We just pulled the grade up out of the old historic ranch where we're at, and now we're pretty much just going to make some time. We got a pretty long day of driving, or at least a long distance of driving for this country, relatively speaking. As we continued to drive through just some breathtaking country, my excitement continued to mount as we got closer and closer to the next spot that I had planned out. I'd done quite a bit of research prior to the trip, and I had several historic sites that I wanted to look for along the way. Oh, this is pretty cool. So there's this stone structure over here. There's a wooden homestead over there. This is literally one of the coolest homesteads that I've ever found. I think there's even a pillow in here.
I think that box was for their flour and stuff. I've seen that done in other places, so.
What's really amazing is to think about the journey that stove had to take to get out here.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Like that came on something that was pulled by a horse.
Oh, look at it.
Nothing in there?
Just debris and stuff, but it's been left open all this time.
He's an awesome guy. You can also find him on Instagram at Coyote Works. Also guys, I created a new YouTube channel. It's not about metal detecting, it's actually about meat cutting. I don't know if you're familiar with my background, but which most of you aren't. I was a meat cutter for about 15 years up until the beginning of this year. So anyway, my channel's called the Meat Cutting Academy. Alright guys, so the first plant I want to talk to you guys about is a plant called periwinkle. It's not native to the United States. It actually comes from England and Europe. And it looks like this here. You guys have probably seen it before at old home sites. But I've seen this at tons of old home sites, and I thought it was a native plant to America. And I figured that it was just a common, basically, weed. And did some research because I knew that there's something to it, because I kept finding it on almost every single home site that I went to, and it turns out it's called periwinkle. So they used to use this back in the 1800s for like ground cover. They used to put it in cemeteries, ground cover for their old homesteads. And if you can't find any evidence of a homestead, if you see this plant, that's a good indicator that there was a home here at one time. It's pretty crazy. This stuff literally does take off like a weed. I mean, this property that I just did some research on today, it only shows up on a 1980s map, I believe, and I know this has been here a lot longer than that. But there should be like a second one just right across about maybe 100 or so feet. So just by looking at this area, right down here, it's kind of a slope. So obviously that would be a terrible spot to put an old homestead. But since you have this knowledge on what this plant is, you can kind of gather that obviously in this flat area there's probably like an old cabin, I would guess, right there. if you didn't really know what kind of plants to look for, you wouldn't really see this as a very viable spot for an old homestead. But I don't think there would be any foundation here. Usually some of these old cabins were just built right onto the ground. That up there kind of looks like a rock wall or some kind of a wall. So let's go check that out. Yeah, so this was definitely a mining area. So that would have been an old mining cabin that we just saw. So actually, just right up there, there's more of that periwinkle. So that was another old cabin site right there. And then right behind, less than, I don't know, a couple hundred feet, that's where the old other cabin site was, where we just saw. So look for those plants. That'll lead you to where you want to go. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that tree right there, that one sticks out among all the other ones. I see all these other pines, oaks, all these other trees, but that one right there definitely sticks out. So if you're trying to identify an old house site, look for odd plants that you wouldn't normally see out in nature. So that one happens to be, I believe it was a Chinese variety of a plant. I can't remember, but I'll put it in the screen. So a good app for you guys if you're wanting to identify some of these plants yourself is called Picture This. It's an app where you can just take a picture and put it on this app. It'll identify the plant for you. So if you're not really sure if it's a native species, you can take a picture of it and it'll let you know what it is. So, alright guys, I don't know if you can see this tree behind me, but this looks to be a cherry tree. So this is just another tree to actually look for when you're looking for old home sites. If you're new to the hobby, you might not think to maybe look for an orchard or any kind of plants or anything to identify an old property. But this is either an old cherry or an old apple. I'm pretty sure it's a cherry though, just by the bark, how the bark looks on these. Alright guys, number 2 on the list is a plant called Snowdrop. These guys come up right around February, January, right around there. And these guys are actually native to England and the Middle East. Actually the Middle East before England. So these are not native to America. So when you see these plants, you know you're probably at an old home site. So number 3 on the list, guys, is holly. So if you're looking for an old home site, if you come across this, there's a good chance that there used to be a home site here. There is actually some species of holly that are native to North America. So just because you see it doesn't mean it was an old site. You have to use kind of common sense, look around for old, for foundations, for broken bottles, some things that were on old home sites. So that's another one. Number 3 is holly. Number 4 is English ivy. English ivy comes from England in Europe and Ireland, and it's not a native species to North America. So a good indicator of an old home site is look for ivy. If you see that, you're probably on an old site. So guys, this back here is actually what inspired me to do this video, because on this property there's pretty much every single species of plant that I showed you in this video. So as you guys can see, you got the holly right there. We've got the ivy growing right here in the structure. We've got those snow bells or snowdrops right there. We have that orchard right back here. We've got apple trees back there, and we've got several other varieties of plants. So this property right here pretty much has just about every single variety of plant that you can help identify an old property at. So this was the perfect place to shoot this video. But this kind of a small area right here, it's cement walls. And as you can see, there's a cement floor. It's got a lot of dirt in here. Looks like people have been in here in the past and kind of dug around. Got little artifacts like this right here. This isn't really that particularly old. It's a 10-gallon fermentation pot, and this is actually, I looked that up, and it's made in Portland from 1900 to 1940s, right in there. So that's pretty interesting. And then something else that kind of told me that the site was older was this pipe right here. As you can see, these rivets on the pipe, that's usually, that's pretty much 1800s is how they used to make these with these old rivets. So this site has been here for a while. This tree is at least 5-6 feet in diameter. This sucker is huge. This apple tree has got to be very, very old. Anyway, apple tree is another one you guys want to look out for. If you come across an old home site and you come across any kind of orchard or fruit trees, obviously that would be a good indicator that there was something there at one time. So apple tree would be number 5. So the last plant on the list is actually rose bush, and that's a pretty obvious one to come across also if you start seeing rose bushes that don't look like they're wild, because there are wild varieties of roses. But if you come across some roses that just don't look wild to you, that's another good indicator that you're probably on an old site. So guys, let me know in the comments down below what you look for when you're looking for old home sites. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope it was informative. I'm all about trying to help you guys find old home sites, especially you new guys getting into the hobby. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.